Hi, guys. Welcome back to Aclaimant Fireside Chats. I am joined today by an incredible risk management talent, Susan Shemanski. Susan has been a partner of Aclaimant with Midway Staffing, but prior to being part of Midway Staffing, has spent time at both the carrier universe, risk management, the TPA universe, back to risk management with one of the biggest staffing firms in the world, and ultimately ending up at Midway Staffing. Susan, welcome to Fireside Chats. How did I do on your background? Was I close?
You were. Thank you, David. I appreciate the introduction.
Awesome. Very cool. And I guess I would kind of start the shows off by kind of asking, how did you get into the world of risk management? It feels like not a place everybody goes to instinctively or goes to on purpose. So would love to understand the journey of kind of how you got into the risk management universe.
So I actually majored in accounting and marketing in
Okay.
college and started my career in accounting. I did not find that to be extremely rewarding, and it was a good area to look into the insurance side, and that's when I started at CNA. It allowed me to use my financial background, but also have more interaction helping people, and the marketing piece has been valuable, as well as I do a lot of training and educating of associates throughout the day.
Awesome. No, it makes sense. I mean, accounting and marketing, right over to risk management. I see the connection. It's perfect. No, and it's great. And again, there's so many interesting stories of how people have always kind of ended up in the insurance space, and it's so deep, and there's so many avenues to go. But I guess you've also spent time both at carriers, TPAs, and running risk management functions. I guess maybe talk to me for a second through some of that transition back and forth.
So I've been very fortunate in my career. I did start on the carrier side, which gave me a really good understanding of insurance policies, coverage, the exposures that companies have. In that role, I started as an adjuster, moved to a supervisor, an account manager, and then headed up an account management group. And one of the clients I worked for asked me to come over onto the employer side. And I saw it as a great step to take in continuing to grow. And I really learned that employer side as well. Unfortunately, that company moved to another state at a point when I was not looking to move, which is what made me go to the TPA side. But it was a real blessing to be able to make that move. I learned a ton about data and managing different accounts. I headed up the retail group at Sedgwick when I was there. So I was exposed to a lot of different ways of doing risk management. And once again, someone that I worked with that was a consultant was retiring and reached out to me to see if I'd be interested in going back on the employer side. I saw it as a great opportunity to take everything I learned from data to managing different exposures and go back onto the employer side. I worked for Deco for a number of years, and that was very successful after that new knowledge that I was able to obtain. And then recently, in this past year, moved over to Midway Staffing. And one of the things that really attracted me to Midway is they pride themselves on white glove service to their clients. And we see so many staffing agencies, they say we're going to fill and bill, fill the position and bill. And Midway doesn't take that approach. They really want risk management and a lot of other core offerings that they have to be a differentiator. And with my love for risk management and safety, I just thought it was the perfect fit.
Awesome. No, that's great. And I think I mentioned this to you when you kind of at first started talking about doing one of these. Is your background is so expansive, and you covered so many things, and your perspective is so incredible. I think it'd be very valuable to a lot of people. So I guess if we shift to focus a little bit over to your time at Midway. So you've been at Midway now for kind of some time. I guess when you first walked in the door, and I know Aclaimant was already part of the stack, but I guess what were the problems that you were looking to solve, and what were the biggest things on your mind when you kind of first walked in the door at Midway, given kind of your incredible experience and depth in this space?
Thanks, David. Aclaimant was in place, but I could see that we weren't utilizing it to its fullest. So we broke it down into a couple pieces. We utilize Aclaimant for our intake of claims. And we do that because we do have a couple different insurance carriers. Also, we're spread out across the US, different branches, on-site locations, and we used it to report, but not in the most effective way. So we do use nurse triage to report our claims. And we quickly found out that a claimant could take that nurse triage feed in, and then our field just needs to open the nurse triage report, click the person's name that was injured. We have an HR feed built into the system, and it populates all of the employee information. They just need to check the accident description and a few other fields and hit submit. So it's very thorough. We get the medical information, we have the HR information, the average weekly wages in there. So I feel like it's easy for our field, but it's also great for my department because the data is clean. And we find we don't have to go back and change a lot of things once the claims reported.
Amazing. Yeah. And I think that's great to hear. It sounds like, kind of from your perspective, when you walked in the door, the couple big things that are maybe top of mind, given where you've been, is do I have access to the data across the systems and companies that I'm working with? Can I get connectivity to the field so you don't have to be everywhere? And can I make sure that I have a system that I can trust to kind of move and grow with me? Is that like roughly the problems that you were thinking about?
Yes, for sure.
Wonderful. So I guess, when you think about maybe some of the more valuable things that kind of are part of your playbook, I guess what are the major areas that you're leaning in right now? I think we talked a little bit about kind of what you were kind of doing out of the gate, but as you think about kind of where you're going and the things that you're trying to do to unlock more value at Midway, kind of what's top on your list, and kind of where does Aclaimant kind of fit into that part of the vision?
So I love data, and I think it tells a great story from our senior management to our clients. And I've worked closely with my account management team at Aclaimant to build out a dashboard of different things that I feel are important. On a daily basis, I'm looking at frequency and severity at a corporate level, and then also down to a client level. When we're meeting with clients, I want to show them, here's where your losses are happening. This is where the cost is, but drilling into why. So what's the body part? What was the person doing when they were injured? I'm able to quickly get to all of that information. And that's where I can be effective in providing that white glove service. I met with a client last week that the meeting started with the data, and then we went around the plant to look at the specific things the data was showing me. And we were quickly able to put a plan for our partnership going forward.
Amazing. No, and I love on the Midway side, it's so cool to see how it's almost like a risk management as a leading part of the strategy, as opposed to we also do risk management as kind of part of the strategy. I think it's definitely been part of their success story, which is amazing. Given kind of some of your tenure in this space as well, I also would love kind of your view on, in the staffing space in particular, a lot of things are changing. It feels like almost every day. I guess kind of what's what's on your radar? What are kind of the trends you're keeping an eye on right now, and kind of what are you thinking about in the future of staffing and risk management?
So I definitely see that staffing is still part of most companies' workforce strategy. You know, it's difficult to find people, and there's a lot of skill gaps out there right now. So not only do we need to find people, but I find that we have to make sure they're trained, and we sometimes we need to upskill to get them, that they're able to do the job for our client. I think this will continue. So we're building some programs into our RIMA system to accommodate that. One program is related to forklifts, where we're focused on giving everyone a mentor when they first start in the forklift job. We've built that into our RIMA system at Aclaimant so that the mentor can have a check card to really, track what the person's learning and know where to focus their time on additional training.
Awesome. That's great. I love the idea of connecting both what's happening in the real world to the system you're kind of using to help create those right set of behaviors, which drives the right set of outcomes. Very cool. I guess, as we kind of look at wrapping up here, maybe do you want to do a shameless plug for Midway here before we kind of sign off?
Sure. I would say, that white glove service, we're definitely delivering that from the risk department. And we see the tools that we have as differentiators. When we start a partnership, we go in and complete a safety survey. We also do a daily audit all in our RIMA system. So even though our department's small, we have a lot of eyes and ears out there by gathering all this data so that we can be a great partner to all of our clients.
Wonderful. Very cool. Well, Susan, thank you so much for coming on today. This was awesome. Some incredible knowledge, obviously shared based on your background. So with that, we'll see you next time from Aclaimant Fireside Chats. And Susan, thank you so much.
Thanks, David.